Hello everyone, welcome back to Becoming Her, a weekly live stream that I do where I share the behind the scenes of what it's like to actually achieve your goals. And in this episode, I'm going to do a year-end review of the year 2021. I'm going to do this very streamlined. So we're going to talk about what worked in 2021, what didn't work, and what I'm going to be doing differently in 2022. So for those of you who've been following this series from the beginning, at the beginning of every year, set a becoming goal. So my becoming goal is the goal that I'm working on achieving. But the point of setting the goal isn't necessarily to hit it, though that is what I planned for. It's more so who I need to become in the process. So the things that I need to embody, the actions that I need to take, the way that I need to think, the things that I need to shift and change. So for 2021, I keep getting the years confused. For 2021, my becoming goal was to work with 100 students inside of my academic life coaching company. So whether it was in my program Educated, The Art of Becoming a Good Student, or one-on-one, I wanted a total of 100 students that I worked with. And I also wanted to have a 100K year, so $100,000 year strictly from the academic life coaching company. This is actually the first year that I have been full-time in my academic life coaching company. Prior to this, I have always worked this business part-time alongside my full-time nursing job as a labor and delivery nurse. And so between the labor and delivery nurse position and my coaching company, I've had a 100K year before, but this is the first time where I was focused on it for just the business income, because I no longer am a practicing nurse. Still have my license, but I'm not practicing as a nurse right now. And my company has made multiple six figures, but it hasn't done that in a year. So that was my goal, my becoming goal. And so I want to talk about all of the things that worked. So first I want to talk about where I was in relation to the goal. So I ended the year at 60K, which is great. I'm really proud of that. One of the things that I'm really proud of is, even though I have had this goal of like the 100K since 2018, so 3 years, and I've missed it every year I have increased the income in the business, which in and of itself is incredible and amazing, especially because those first 2 years I was doubling, and then this last year I've basically just maintained what I made from the year before with just like a slight increase. But every year my income is going up, which means I'm delivering more value, because that's what I see as the income. It's like the income that I'm receiving is the value that I've created out in the world as an academic life coach. So I've created $60,000 worth of value as an academic life coach, and that to me is just everything. I forgot to go in and check the exact number of students that I worked with this year, but I think we are at 30 for the year in 2021. So I worked with 30 students total in 2021, so that's 30 new students. And my goal was 100. So like I just wanted to put up like where I was in regards to like achieving the goal. So let's talk about what worked. So this is everything that I did, everything that I focused on, everything that I worked through in 2021 to create the 60K. So what worked was continuing to work with my somatic coach. So she and I ended our work together in March, hiring a one-on-one life coach, really believing that I am the academic life coach for college student. Really working on my self-concept around that, my self-concept around being a CEO, my self-concept around the value that I have to offer as an academic life coach, doing the daily models, which is the self-coaching tool that I personally use and that we use inside of my program, Educated, The Art of Becoming a Good Student, to really see what was going on in my subconscious and like building a belief plan and practicing new thoughts, journaling around what was working, journaling around the things that I was celebrating, doing future journaling where I was stepping into the energy, the having done energy, the energy where I've already created what it is that I wanted. And the reason why that worked was because it really created emotions that made me want to show up more and more and more. It reminded me of why I was doing this. It really connected and anchored me to what I was creating beyond just like the day-to-day, like the bigger vision, the bigger impact, the ripple effect of me showing up. Not quitting, even though I wanted to like 1,050,000 times. I wanted to quit, but I kept going. Being willing to sit with disappointment. Learning how to feel disappointment was probably the number one lesson that I had in 2021, because 2021 was just filled with me not meeting any of my goals and me having my worst case scenario in relation to the business happen, and being able to hold it, being able to let myself feel the deep sadness, which that's what disappointment is. It's just deep sadness that you didn't reach what you wanted. It's deep sadness that your expectations didn't happen. And so being willing to actually learn how to process that emotion was one of the biggest lessons in 2021, like just letting myself feel it. So that really worked, because the moment that I learned how to process disappointment, things started turning around. Choosing myself in any opportunity that I could, and learning to choose myself and seeing all the places where I wasn't choosing myself. And if you guys remember from this entire series that I've been doing on this YouTube channel, the very first episode, I talked about how not being chosen, not having people want me, or believing that people didn't want me, or believing that people weren't choosing me, was like a big story, a big belief that I had, a big thought that I had. And, you know, as soon as I discovered it, I was working on making lists of all the ways that I was being chosen, and seeing where I wasn't choosing myself, and starting to do the work where I was beginning to choose myself, and setting boundaries and things like that. So that really worked. Letting go of resentment was another big thing that really worked in 2021. So it makes sense that if I'm feeling like people aren't choosing me, and I'm giving my all to people, and they're not choosing me, or I'm believing or thinking that they're not choosing me, the emotion that's automatically going to come with that is resentment. And I had a lot of resentment that I had to be willing to let go of, even if it meant that I was going to be in the wrong, even if it meant that I was wrong about the story that I was telling. So I wanted happiness. I wanted to feel good more than I wanted to be right. And so I had to let go of a lot of resentment. And I did that. Writing sales emails worked. Being willing to be wrong worked. Creating regular YouTube videos again worked. The rebrand of my coaching program, it used to be called Study School. Hey, Kimberly. And we rebranded it to Educated the Art of Becoming a Good Student. That worked, even though my mind wanted to tell me that it didn't work. And at one point, I thought that that was the biggest mistake that I ever made in my business this past year. Like, I thought that it ruined everything, the fact that I changed the program name, that I rebranded. But it actually worked, in that it helped me to step into the self-concept that I had been working on, which is that I am the coach, the life coach for college students, that I am the best in the industry, that my program is an elevated program, that you're not going to see anything else like it, that I'm the best in the industry in helping students earn better grades and create more free time. So it's like, even though I had moments throughout the year where I was thinking like, oh, this was the biggest mistake that I ever made, I have confused my audience, like people don't know what to buy anymore, I just basically just shot myself in the foot, I had all of those thoughts. Really looking back at 2021, it's actually something that worked, because it helped me to build the self-concept that I have now, which is that I'm the academic life coach for college students. And I truly and honestly believe that with every bone in my body. really using the model this year to coach myself. So as you guys know, I've said this many times, I use the model which was developed by Brooke Castillo to help coach my students. And this year I went all in really using the model every single day to self-coach myself. This is what allowed me to be able to learn how to process the emotion of disappointment. It's what helped me to uncover these deep stories that I had around like not being chosen and what that meant. It helped me to have really difficult and like hard conversations with my husband. It helped me to be able to hold some of the things that came up in those conversations. It helped me to manage my thoughts and my drama around it. It helped me to be able to stay grounded and connected to my truth, because I could have easily, if I wanted to, I could have easily let myself spin out this year in fear and disappointment and sadness, in woe is me and victim mentality, and feeling really sorry for myself. And the model really allowed me to be able to keep going, to like see what was actually the truth, to remind myself of who I really was. So that really worked this year. Selling myself on the value of a life coach also was something that worked for me this year, because when I sold myself on why having a life coach or having a coach, whether it's like an academic coach, whether it's like a weight loss coach, whether like any sort of coach, I really sold myself this year on what that allows you to create in your life, how helpful that is. I sold myself by hiring my very first one-on-one life coach. I've done a lot of different business type of coaching that have always been in a group capacity, or I've like invested in programs where I didn't have access to a coach, but this was the first year where I've worked deeply and intimately with a life coach. Prior to this, the only one-on-one coaching that I had was with my somatic practitioner, to really understand my nervous system and to regulate my nervous system when I had Adelina. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. But I really used the model to help myself through this year, and also to sell myself on life coaching. And because I sold myself on life coaching, it helped with my self-concept. It helped with me communicating the value of what it is that I do. And I truly and honestly believe with every bone in my body that everybody should have a coach. Everybody should have a coach. Like, in addition to a therapist, you should have a coach. Like, it's just been, I don't know. My coach is Esperanza Lebron. She is my first one-on-one life coach, and she's the first coach that I've hired who is Latina. And the work that I've done with her over the past almost year has absolutely changed me. Like, I wrote her a message in Voxer just letting her know, like, I'm so glad that you are on this earth, because you have literally changed my life this year. I don't even know like how I would have gotten through this year without her, like, reflecting and seeing a lot of the things that I couldn't see in myself. Like, she held the belief for me in moments where I was forgetting, in moments where I couldn't hold it for myself. And like, it's yeah. Oh, Kimberly, I'm so glad that you said that, because I really felt that during the challenge. So Kimberly said your self-concept really showed during the Your Best Semester Yet challenge. Yeah. The reason why I was late to this is because I was doing my year-end review with my life coach so that I could do this live stream. And we were talking about what was different about this challenge versus the challenges that I've done in the past. And that was literally what I told her. I was like, I feel like I showed up during this challenge. Like, I actually believe that I'm the life coach for college students. And before, I felt like I was just like trying to be that version. Like, I was like this little baby, like I was like a kid trying on her mom's shoes that didn't quite fit. And now the shoes are in my size, and I'm rocking them, and I'm wearing them, and I'm walking down the stairs like I own the world in them. That's how I feel right now. What else worked was live events. So anytime I did any sort of teaching, any sort of coaching, that really helped and worked One, it helped to build my self-concept. It helped more students know about me and what it is that I offer and that I'm a life coach. And every time I did a live stream event, every time I did any sort of teaching, it led to a consult with the student. It led to a student signing up for the program. It led to a student reaching out and wanting to work with me. Let's see. What else did I write down? Oh, this is another big one. Detaching my worth from the 100K. So at the beginning of the year, the very first coaching program that I did was a confidence coaching program. It was 6 months long. And in that program, I learned how to detach my worth from the 100K, because up until this year, I had been chasing this 6-figure year, this 100K year in my academic life coaching business, so that result, that circumstance, that situation could validate me as being a good life coach, as being a good CEO, as being a good business owner. And I was chasing it because I needed it. If I didn't have it, if I didn't create it, then I couldn't say to myself that I had value to offer, that I was a good coach, that I was a good CEO. And through the course of 2021, through all of the self-concept work that I was doing, through all of like the daily self-coaching, like I used so many journals, more journals than I have ever used any other year, because I was like literally doing models upon models and future self-journaling and really just asking myself like really tough questions that forced me to take radical responsibility for my life. And this was the most uncomfortable year of my life, like so uncomfortable. If you guys only knew like what was behind the scenes and like the amount of times that I cried and the amount of times that like it was just like the biggest growth year for me, and it was really messy behind the scenes. And I learned so much about myself. It made me believe in the tools that I teach 1,000 times more than I believed in them before, because they work. I forgot where I was. Oh, learning to detach my self-worth from the 100K. So now, because there is that detachment, I can just show up and be me. I don't need anything outside of me to tell me that I am a good academic life coach. This is who I am. Like, this is what I live and breathe. Like, it's just a part of me. Like, this is who I am. And I could have a year where I only work with one student and I would still believe that I am the best coach. And I will be the best coach for that one student. And that has just freed me to just truly be able to like serve and give without expecting students to enroll and without, needing students to enroll in order to feel like I'm doing a good job. It's like I am doing a good job no matter what. I am worthy. I have value no matter what. That was like another big thing that came out of 2021. So I think that was it for everything that worked. Oh, also letting myself go on that retreat that I went on, because it really forced me, like that retreat really gave me the space to think about who I wanted to be as a wife, who I wanted to be as a CEO, who I wanted to be as a mother, areas in my life where I wasn't showing up the way that I wanted to show up, areas of my life where I was still carrying some resentment. It also allowed me the space, because I wasn't busy all the time, to really feel the sadness, the deep sadness that I was experiencing and the deep disappointment that I was experiencing. That was like the biggest cry of my life was during that retreat. I also I just opened myself up to fully accepting how great of a mother I am, and fully accepting of how great of a person I am, and fully accepting how great of a coach I am, so it's at the same time that I felt that deep sadness and deep disappointment, because I was willing to go to that deep end, it also created so much space for all the love to come in and all the joy. So I cried from disappointment, and at the same time I cried because I was so happy and so appreciative and so grateful for everything it is that I had created. And that retreat is really the catalyst that I'm building out 2022 from. So that's what worked. Let me take a sip of water. So let's move on to what didn't work. So the very first thing that didn't work was I wasted, I shouldn't say wasted. I'm going to say I used up so much of my time in 2021 comparing myself to other people. It stole so much of my joy in 2021. And I spent so much time in comparison. So much time. Ugh, it makes me angry thinking about it. So that didn't work. What also didn't work was the entitlement energy that I came into 2021 with, which led to a lot of resentment. I felt entitled to being further along in my business revenue wise just because of the amount of time that I have been doing this. But if I really, when I got really real with myself, I actually didn't have the academic life coaching company until 2017. From 2015 to 2017, I thought I was going to be a network marketer, and I was focusing on network marketing, but trying to get college students to build the network marketing business with me. It wasn't until 2017 that I built out the first real iteration of the educated program, which at the time was the first iteration of study school, where I taught it live, where students were able to ask questions, where I really made the decision, I want to be a coach for college students. Not a network marketer, but a coach for college students. This is the business that I want. And I saw the vision for the planner, and I saw the vision for this being in colleges and universities. That didn't happen until 2017. And so all this time, I've been saying to myself, oh, I've been at this since 2015, and it's I should be already at multi-millions of dollars, at least multi-millions of multi six figures in a year in this business. And I had so much entitlement, and that was causing me to really indulge in frustration and the energy of frustration, which would come off as me being passive aggressive. And I didn't want to let go of that frustration, and I didn't want to be wrong. I wanted to be right about no one was choosing me, and I wanted to be right about I should be further along, and I was really just indulging in that story and indulging in that energy. So that didn't work. And that started to shift for me in March, April of 2021. That's really when I let myself really see that I was causing my own misery, and that I was choosing these stories, and I was choosing to look at it that way. And that's really when I started to do the work to start shifting that with self-coaching and all of that. Not being willing to let myself feel sad and disappointment. That didn't work because it kept me in the pit of despair longer than I needed to be. If I would have just let myself feel it and had been honest with myself that I was disappointed, that I was sad, that I was feeling all these things, I could have just processed those emotions and been able to move much quicker. But I was trying to trying to positive think my way through it, because I kept telling myself, I can't feel bad about this. I can't feel disappointed about this. I can't feel sad about this, because if you feel sad and if you feel disappointed, then you're not going to be in high vibe energy. And then that's just going to create more of what you don't want. So I was afraid to let myself feel sad. I was afraid to let myself feel disappointed, because I thought that then that meant that I wasn't going to be able to create what I wanted. So instead, I lied to myself and told myself I didn't care, and told myself it didn't matter, and told myself oh, it's fine. I'll just keep moving. I'll just keep moving forward. But that just ended up in me completely having a mental breakdown, figuratively speaking, at between August and October, where it's I couldn't run from those emotions anymore, which is around the time when the retreat happened and all of that. And so I really let myself feel it at the retreat. And then once I felt it, it was gone. And you guys are if you go back and you actually watch every single episode, you get to see me walk myself through that entire process and that entire journey, and you'll see when the shift happened. Okay, so that didn't work. Mentally thinking that I should have the same business as someone who had a $6 million business. So thinking to myself, like, I shouldn't need to be doing consult calls. I shouldn't need to be talking about my business in this way. I shouldn't need to explain to students so much the value it is that I offer. I shouldn't need to be doing, again, that entitlement energy, and thinking that doing something for a long period of time meant that I should have the results it is that I want. Like, I'm not entitled to that. That other person has it because they've created $6 million worth of value in whatever industry it is that they have that business because they've become the type of person who can create that. I wasn't that yet, but I was like trying to compare myself there. Let's see. What else didn't work? Oh, these thoughts. Nobody wants this program. Maybe I'm not that great of a coach. This is too much money. I should have never changed the name of the program. No one wants to work with me. No one chooses me. I'm like, it can happen for everybody else, but it's never going to happen for me. So I like wrote out all the thoughts that I like predominantly had over and over and over in 2021 that kept me stuck, that kept me from taking action. So none of those thoughts worked. Let's see. Oh, and then tying my worth to the 100K. Obviously didn't work. But you guys saw when I talked about what did work, it was working through all those things, right? Working through all those things with my coach, working through all those things with myself, through my own self-coaching every single day. Like I feel like when I think about 2020 and 2021, I group them as a package. Like I feel like those 2 years, they came as a package. And in 2020, I was learning about these concepts. I was starting to just become aware of all these things, right? And if you think about it in regards to like the 3-step study process that I talk about, I was in the acquiring of knowledge. I was exposing myself to these concepts, exposing myself, I was just becoming aware that something was off. And I was just learning about what exactly that was. That my self-concept was off, that I had trouble really processing my emotions and even knowing what I felt. And, I had hired, some people to help me just bring all of that to the surface, just become aware of that stuff. And 2021 was the year where I was presented with opportunities to actually test if I had learned those lessons. I was presented with physical experiences, with situations in my life where I got to practice really applying those skills that I had learned about and become aware of in 2020. So 2020 brought up all my crap. I started learning some skills on like how to process it, how to deal with it. And then 2021 was like, okay, now it's time to get good at these things. Now it's time to practice them every single day. And now I feel like in 2022, I'm really stepping into the year of mastery with it. So I still feel like 2022 is going to bring up situations and opportunities where I'm going to have to use these skills, and I'm going to have to use these skills for the rest of my life. But it's not going to be a newbie trying to do these things. It's someone who's already has experience, and they're just getting better and better and better. And like I feel like I'm really stepping in to my excellence in 2022. So with that being said, what am I changing moving forward? What's going to be my new goals? What's going to be my new strategy and all of that? So my goals are going to stay exactly the same. Why are they staying exactly the same? Because I didn't hit them and I want them, and so I'm going to keep working towards them. I don't see the point in like changing the goal just because I didn't hit it before. Like I'm going to keep going until I do, right? So like I'm in the perfect position to actually make it happen. So what I'm changing moving forward is I'm releasing all the things that didn't work, and I'm focusing on all the things that did. So this process of evaluating, I teach it inside of my program, Educated the Art of Becoming a Good Student, but specific for creating a schedule, creating a study plan, and sticking to it with my students. It's so beautiful because if you do it, if you actually look at what worked and you look at what didn't, you have exactly the steps on what to do. So I can't be confused here. I can't pretend that I don't know what to do. I can't pretend that I don't know what to focus on. I just told myself, this is what works for you. This is what doesn't. Stop doing what doesn't and focus on what does, and really double down on what does. So the vibe and the energy. So my word for 2022 is chosen, period. That's my word for 2022, chosen. And I'm coming in to 2022 with that energy. A queen is chosen. Jesus was chosen. Mary, who birthed Jesus, was chosen. That's the I'm like very biblical right now, and I'm not even like super Christian or anything like that, but I did grow up Catholic, and I did, convert to Christianity for a little bit. Now I'm more like, I believe in everything and nothing at the same time. So if that turns you off, I'm sorry, but that's just where my vibe is. But that's the energy that I'm bringing to 2022. So if I were to really like synthesize this, and I just realized that my microphone isn't even on, so I guess you guys are hearing me through the computer, which is fine. But interesting. Okay, let me just keep going, because we've been going like this for a while, and I feel like it's fine because you guys are still here. I mentioned this in one of the episodes before, and I think I was talking about becoming versus being. My coach a while ago gave me this assignment when I was like really in my compare and despair. She gave me the assignment to go to the girl that I was comparing myself to, just to give myself the evidence that like there really isn't anything different between you and her. Like there's nothing different between you and her, but you're still trying to create something different. So if you are going to create something, go learn from her. So I didn't go and do the assignment with her. I actually did the assignment with somebody else who, she's like a really big coach in like the life coaching. She's like the Tony Robbins of all of this. If you're into like the coach and fear or whatever. And she had $1 million day. She made $1 million in a day. And so I decided that I was going to go back to her very first videos. I was going to go back to when she first started doing what she was doing, and I was going to watch as many videos as I could from the beginning until her now. And I was telling my coach today, and I was like, when I did that assignment, first of all, I didn't remember that my coach gave me this assignment. I was telling her, I can't remember who it was that like told me to do this. And I was like, no, it was you. And then she was like, yeah, when you were comparing yourself to the other girl. I was like, yeah, okay. So when I was doing the assignment, I was like watching the videos, and I was looking at like how she's seen in the industry right now. And I'm like watching her earlier videos, and I'm like watching the progression. And I don't know like if this was like God speaking to me, but all of a sudden I just had this realization that she's just a human being who decided to go out and tell people that she was this amazing coach. And she dubbed herself this amazing coach. And every time she did a live stream, and every time she did anything, every time she put out a program, every time she asked people to get on a consult with her, anytime she talked about herself, anytime she showed up from the space that she was already that version of herself. Even if behind the scenes she was doing the work to try to believe it and to try to become it, when she showed up, her energy was, of course you want to hire me. Of course you want to work with me. I am the best at this. I can help you. And I was telling my coach this because I'm like, this is the difference between becoming and being. When you're becoming, it feels like you're trying on. I really need to get this nail fixed because it's like bothering me. I just broke it the other day. Losing my train of thought here. Focus, Clarissa, focus. Where was I? Oh yeah. It really does feel like you're like Adelina trying on my heels. They don't fit. She doesn't know how to really walk in them, but she's trying real hard. And she knows that if she just keeps trying, eventually she's going to learn how to walk in mommy's shoes. That's how becoming feels like. Like the journey of becoming a good student, until you actually have created the result, It feels like you're a little girl trying on your mom's shoes, trying to be like your mom, but you're not your mom. And I realized that what actually creates the shift, like where you actually then can create the results, is when you believe you're already that person. And so it's not that you're becoming and you're working towards becoming that person. You already know you're that person. So everything you think is like that person. Everything you do is like that person. Other people experience you as that version of you. And to me, that shift really happens in the self-confidence climb, especially if you start giving yourself credit for all of the progress it is that you're making. And that's where the shift really happened for me, where now I feel like all of 2022, that's the energy that I'm going to be in, because I worked all of 2021 to get myself, like, now I really feel like I am the academic life coach. I had been trying to like live up to that identity, working up to that identity, working up to that self-concept all of 2021, and it has clicked, and the vibe is different, and now I just have to show up like that on purpose. I'm going to be obnoxiously obsessed with how great I am. And then my coach was reflecting back to me how, because me explaining this to her was like, oh my God, I've never thought of it that way. This is why, like, I just love coaching. Like, I learn from her, she learns from me. It's just really great. I love my coach right now. So she was just saying how she was in a mastermind, and the coach in that mastermind, she just goes out and tells everybody that she is the best marketer she's one of the best marketers in all of the world. And she has a multi-million-dollar company. And she's like, I'm in her programs, and there's nothing special about her. There really is nothing special. She's just a human. But the way she presents, you can't help but want to work and believe that she is the best marketer. And it's because she's thinking that about herself. And she is showing up like that. Like, she actually believes that. Like, I am one of the best marketers in all of the world. And so 2022, the thing that I'm changing, it isn't the actions that I'm doing. It's my energy. 2022 is the year I show up like I believe that I am the academic life coach for college students. 2022 is the year where that is who I am, and that is the vibe. Like, the queen doesn't doubt she's a queen. She is the queen. And the thing is, even in her, if we look at it from the perspective of like the lineage, from day one, she's being prepared to be a queen. She already knows that that's her destiny, right? She's being prepared to be the queen, and then she is. And the moment that she is, which is just a decision, someone dies and then she becomes queen, or it's a decision that is made, she's that. She's the queen. Like, that's the way that I'm thinking about it. And it's so funny because I have 2 crowns right now that are both sitting on my altar. And it's just so interesting that this is the way that it's all like being laid out. And like one of the images that, one of the images that I took as part of the rebrand, it's me like laying on a couch and I'm like leaning forward. And I have that picture on my vision board because when I look at that, I just think I'm so regal. What is exuding out of me in that image, in that photo, is exactly the vibe that I want to bring into 2022. So action-wise, what does this look like for me? It's me going out and telling people, I can help you. I am the academic life coach. That's just the main thought that I'm going to be having all of 2022. Because everything that I've done, the self-coaching, like all of that, I'm going to keep the same. Everything that worked, I'm going to keep the same. And I have put things in place to keep myself out of comparison mode. I am just going to be so obsessed with myself, with my life, with my results, with everything it is that I'm creating. And it's just like blinders on, which I have never done before. I've never done this before, where it's like complete, just utter focus on me. And I'm really excited for what unfolds with that. So that's my update. That's my year in review for 2021. This is the last weekly Becoming Her series. I'm going to be doing monthly updates from now moving forward. And this is the first one for January. So you guys won't get an update until the first week of February. And I feel like I should change the name from Becoming Her to Being Her, because we got to just be fully in the decision that we're making, fully in that vibe. So I think the series is going to and it's so fun that I'm going to get to look back on this forever. Hopefully YouTube never goes away so that I can always have access to these videos, because I love being able to look back and see my progress and see the mindset that I was in months before. Because we change so fast and we don't even realize it, which is why I love doing monthly reviews, why I love just really looking back and seeing the progress that I made, because otherwise we miss it and we think that nothing happened and that we're in the same place, when really we're always growing, we're always evolving, or we're dying. That's just the way that it works. So yeah, that's my update. I will see you guys the first week of February with the Being Her series. Bye.